Welcome to Vision Forward's Tech Connect Live, connecting you to the world of assistive technology. And now, here are your hosts, Corey and Luke.
It's always too late. Everything is so mistake.
Hello, welcome to the show. I'm already getting told off by Corey here at the top of the show.
It is called constructive criticism.
I happen to call it bullying.
The constructive part.
Yeah, I happen to call it bullying. But hello, everybody.
Constructive bullying.
Okay, is that a thing?
Yes.
Do we need to introduce that to the schools? Is this going to be the new?
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
Be the new thing? Welcome everybody to the show. It is Thursday, it is raining, it is Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it is Corey Ballard, it is Luke Scriven, and it is Tech Connect Live. Why do we call it Tech Connect Live, Corey?
Well, because three things are happening.
Yes.
There's tech.
Yes.
We're connecting you to the tech.
Okay.
And we're doing it live.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So when we really talked and looked at it, we put three words together.
Yeah, and that seemed like the most logical.
At first it was sitting at a table talking,
yeah,
but that seemed like a weird title.
Well, it would have been descriptive, however, it wasn't telling you enough about what we were talking about. I think that was the problem. Yeah. So then we changed it to two guys sitting at a table talking about assistive technology.
Well, actually, the first one was talking nonsense, because that was a little more descriptive.
We had to do an analysis of our previous videos and see what percentage was nonsense versus what percentage was assistive technology related. Yes. And luckily, the assistive technology content was 51%, and the nonsense was only 49%.
Yes,
so,
that is true.
Yeah, so we felt it was justified to call the show Tech Connect Live.
Okay.
Percentage is jokes.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Well, that all depends on the listeners or the viewers. What percentage of the show is jokes is dictated by how many jokes we receive, and we have indeed received a joke already. This was somebody who joined us. What was the name of this individual, please, Jonathan?
So we've got a joke from Ken O.
Okay, so Ken O. He was in 10 minutes before the show getting his jokes in the chat. This is the perfect exemplar of the type of audience member that we want on this show.
That is. Well, we want everybody.
Well, we do. I mean, let's not alienate the audience.
Yeah. I mean, we really like Ken, but we like everybody.
Yeah, we like Ken more than most because he got in there early with a nice joke. So, without further ado, please, Jonathan, what was Ken's joke for today?
So, Ken's joke is, why was the student's report card wet? It is a rainy day, so why was the student's report card wet?
I think he deliberately immersed it in water to make the ink run because he was embarrassed about the grades he got and didn't want to show his parents.
I got something.
Yeah?
It was full of C's. Something with C's.
So that's very close.
Something with C's. It has to be something with C's. It was.
So the way that it's phrased is, Because it was below sea level.
Ah, that's it. That's it. Oh, he gets all three, just to be safe.
That's quite a good joke.
I did like that one, so thank you.
Yep,
I
that was
believe
good.
if people were to grade this show, we might expect a similar result.
That is true.
All right, well, anyway, we did promise to make these intros snappier, Corey, and I feel like we might be reneging on our promise. So let's get to it without further ado. Corey, have you ever heard of this Zoom software?
I have not. Can you tell me about it?
Yes, so Zoomy is all about connecting people with people across the world, wherever you may be.
Is that their?
That's their motto. That's
their motto?
Yeah,
connecting people. Well, it's actually that was a really long motto. Connecting people with people across the world, wherever they would be, in any continent, in any country,
whatever their circumstances,
state or city,
as long as they have internet
village.
and a computing device.
Yes. .com.
I do have the mission statement if you want to hear
Hold on. Let's
Producer
unmute
Jonathan,
them.
please, yes.
What is the mission
Zoom
statement?
is designed to develop people-centric cloud services that transform the real-time collaboration
This is
experience
longer than ours.
and improve the quality and effectiveness of communications forever.
How many buzzwords did we catch in there? Cloud,
yeah.
transform,
Yep.
communication,
Collaboration.
collaboration's a
of
good
course,
one.
of course.
Yep.
If you need assistance with your marketing Zoom, please reach out, because I think we could do something a
I
little
think ours was better. And if you want to know what domain to get, we already got
We
that.
already got it, yeah.
Oh, speaking of, I saw this morning. What was the? Well, I won't tell you. Won't guess what it was, but the most expensive domain ever purchased was cars.com. Any idea what the purchase price of the most expensive domain? This blew my mind that a company paid
Got to
this
be a
much.
lot then, so I'm going to guess 64 million.
$862 million.
Holy
There was like 10 above 60 million. That was like chump change.
If
$862
anybody
million.
watching or listening has ever been on cars.com, please let us know.
I don't even know
I've
what
never
it
been
is.
there. Never been
Cars for kids?
there. That's what it is, you mean?
Yeah, that's that. That's a Cars for Kids. That's that commercial.
Yes, that's right. Yep. I mean, they shouldn't be encouraging kids to drive, to be honest. I mean,
That's true.
yeah, you should be at least 16.
at least 60. All right, back to Zoom.
Zoomy. So
yes.
Zoomy is a platform which everybody is probably familiar with. It became very popular over the old COVID situation.
true.
And during that time, Corey became a bit of a pro. And no pressure. So Corey's going to be training us all today on how to do things with Zoom. If you're a screen reader user, Corey is using the old JAWS there.
Yeah, and although I think that, although we are doing the demonstration from a screen reader point of view, because I think in many cases, though, that might be a population that struggles a bit more with it, I think if you are a mouse or low vision user, I think you would still benefit from some of the concepts and things we'll talk about today. Yeah. We're going to be attacking this both from if you are actually scheduling and hosting your own Zoom meeting, but while we do that, we're going to talk about if you are a participant too, because really once you're sort of into the meeting and you've started it as a host, the interface you see versus what you see as a participant are almost identical with just a couple extra options that show up. So if you're like someone who's I'll never host one, but I need to join them, you'll benefit from today's session as well.
Indeed you shall. And with that being said, Corey, where would you like to start today?
Well, we can start by switching to my laptop.
Okay,
if
always
you'd like.
a good start.
Yeah, that's a good start.
There we go.
So we are going to look at first how to schedule a Zoom meeting. Now, there is a couple different ways to do this, and I want to quickly say what I think is one of the more easy ways of doing it, or maybe I shouldn't say
like
more
easy
easy,
ways.
but it is easy, but it's also the way that doesn't really require you to have any other software.
I will just say as well, I just realized that I forgot to put up a video of us while we're looking at your computer screen. So apologies that people won't be able to see our lovely faces.
Yeah, they probably don't care.
It's probably an advantage.
So what you're seeing right now, though, is the Zoom window. So I do recommend heading over to zoom.us and creating a free account by giving your email address and creating a password, and then downloading the Windows client from zoom.us/downloads. Once you install that software, you may already have it installed, especially if you've joined Zoom meetings before, because it typically will install it when you try to join a meeting. But if you haven't yet, I do recommend creating that account and getting it downloaded, because that's going to make this next part, the scheduling part, you pretty much need it. You can't really schedule in a Zoom meeting without having an account first. So I've downloaded the Zoom desktop application on my computer, and I've installed it. And when you first launch it, it's going to ask you to sign in. There's a few buttons. There's a join meeting button, a sign up button, and a sign in button. And we want to do that sign in, and you're going to just put in your email address and your password, and then you're going to be brought to the screen where we are right now. Now on this screen, we have a number of tabs going across the top. Is that right, Luke?
Yes.
So we've got a home, meetings. Now, depending on what account you have, we happen to use Zoom as our phone system here at Vision Forward as well. So I have a phone option going across the top. There's also a chat feature where you can, because we're a business account, we can almost like instant message and chat within our organization. So you might see less, well, you most likely will see less options than what I have here. The most important one we want, though, is the Meetings tab, and that should be the second one in from the left. And this is where we can do two things. First, it'll show a list of any scheduled meetings that we've either scheduled ourselves or that we've accepted and have been invited to. But more importantly, we have a schedule button. We're going to go ahead and just use our tab key to move through this Zoom window. So if I tab,
pair with a Zoom Room or Zoom for home device button, open Activity Center, new notification Zoom, Corey Ballard, status, in account, refresh button, upcoming meetings tab select, schedule meeting button.
There it is, schedule meeting. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter on here.
Enter, context menu,
and what
schedule
happens
meeting.
Is we've got a little box that's popped up, and there's a few options here on how to schedule your meeting. The first option just says schedule a meeting, and that's actually going to do it right from the Zoom interface, which is what we are going to do. But you'll also see in this list that there is a schedule from Outlook and schedule from Google Calendar. If you're an Outlook user and you have Outlook installed on your computer, you could choose the Outlook option. And then what it does is it sort of brings up a traditional Outlook meeting invite window that you'd be used to, but the Zoom connection details are already dropped in both the location and the body of that meeting.
Quick question, do you have to have the Zoom plugin installed in Outlook to do that, or is this just always an option?
I think it is always an option, but that's a great question. There is an Outlook Zoom plugin, and I don't know, I'm not sure.
Okay.
That is a great question that I don't have an answer to. All right, that's a good start. But again, we're focusing on the option if you don't have Outlook, which is, we want to assume that most people don't have Outlook just because you have to purchase it. So we're going to choose the first option here.
Enter, schedule
and this
meeting.
Is now going to open up.
Schedule meeting. Topic.
This is going to now open up basically a web page. This has changed recently. It used to be a dialog box that we could tab through, although we can still tab through this, but it's now laid out as just as if it's kind of a normal web page that you would be going through. So because it is a web page and it's a form, you could tab through and make all your changes, or you could simply use normal web browsing commands you'd be comfortable with, your up and down arrow, whatever it might be, to navigate as well. So we'll go ahead and I'm just going to down arrow, and the first box that we should pop into is the name of our meeting.
Date and time.
Well, let's go back up to the top.
Schedule meeting. Topic. Edit Corey Ballard Zoom meeting.
There we go. So here is our topic. It said edit. Now I don't have auto forms mode on. Your computer might pop because it's going right into this edit field. But this is where we can go to change the topic name or the name of our meeting.
Enter.
I'm going to pop in right here because we're going to actually just kind of tab through the rest of this. But I don't really need to make a change. We're just going to leave it Corey's, the default there. So we'll continue tabbing through.
Date and time. Start date edit combo collapsed read only. 03/14/2024.
So now we heard a couple of things. We heard it was a combo box. We also heard the word collapsed, which is important. And then we heard the date, and this is the start date. And because it's collapsed, we want to go ahead and use our space bar to go ahead and expand this so that we can change the meeting date. We're
Can
going
we
to
do
make
an alt-down arrow?
No, it will not work. So because of it's a combo box, but alt down arrow will expand a combo box, but won't expand or collapse a collapsible menu.
Okay.
They're different.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and hit space.
Space. Expanded. Calendar view date picker dialog.
And now we've heard it say expanded, and now I can simply use my 4 arrow keys to move around this calendar. So since it's automatically putting me on today, March 14th, if I wanted to make this for Saturday, I would just go to my right 2 times. So one will be to Friday.
March 15th, 2024 Friday button.
And one more.
March 16th, 2024 Saturday button.
And so now I've chosen which date I want. I usually get in the habit of just hitting enter.
Date and time.
And that
Start date.
that ensures that I selected the 16th as my start date.
And I assume with being a combo box, you could have typed in the date as well.
It does. You have to expand it though. I'm glad you said that.
Weird.
So you would have thought that, but I've tried that before and it does not work. I have found the best way to do it is to expand and then use the arrow keys.
Okay.
I've not had good luck trying to type it in. Now, I should say though, hitting space and expanding and then typing it in might work.
Okay.
But at that point, you might as well just do your arrow keys.
And if you do want to try that, then it has to be a date. Let me get this right now. Day, month, year.
No. Month, day,
Oh, yeah,
year,
this
year.
is America. Yeah. I forgot about that.
It's only been, 12 years since you've been in the city? All right, now we've got our start date. Let's keep tabbing now.
Start time edit combo collapse. 11:30 a.m.
So now we have our start time, and here we can again simply use our arrow keys. I'm gonna go, let's make this for, what do you wanna make this for, 2:30?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go up to 2:30.
11:30 a.m. 11 a.m. 10:45 a.m.
It's a little different, right? You would go up, you would think it would be up, but we can see it's going down. So we actually wanna go down to go.
So up goes down and down goes up.
Exactly.
11 a.m. 11:15 a.m. 11:30 a.m. 11:45 a.m. 12 p.m.
What did I say,
12:15 p.m.
Okay, I'm gonna do it a little faster.
12 p.m. 12:15 12:30 11:40 12 p.m.
Oh.
It just keeps on cycling
11:45 a.m.
It is.
Now, I think the problem is that your mouse pointer just happens to be on this menu right now. I wonder whether that's messing things up at all.
Let me go.
11:30 12 p.m.
So there's 12.
12:15 p.m.
There's 12:15
p.m.
There's 12:30.
12:45 p.m.
There we go.
12 p.m.
Hey.
No, now it did it again.
11:45 a.m.
Yeah.
12 p.m.
Okay, why is it doing?
Unfortunate.
That is really weird. Okay.
Can we try moving the
Space.
mouse just in case?
Oh, I could try.
11:45 a.m. 12 p.m. 12:15 p.m. 12:30 p.m. 12:45
Because it knows
p.m.
nobody
No.
should not be having meetings on a Saturday.
Yeah, why? That's the weirdest thing.
12:30 p.m.
Okay, let's see if we can type it in.
Start time edit combo expanded.
130
30
p.m.
No matching data.
No
Okay,
matching
no
day.
matching day up, sure.
p.m.
Well, that is the
End
oddest
time
thing
edit
I've ever
combo.
seen.
Start time edit
So
combo collapse.
why-
11:30 a.m.
Okay,
Let's not get hung up on
expand.
it.
11:30
Well,
a.m.
now-
Let's just choose a
47
time.
at
Let's
9.
choose
11:45 a.m.
12:30.
12
How
p.m.
about
12:15 p.m.
What we will
12:30
do
p.m.
is we will figure it out and put it in the comments. So if you're watching this in the future, check the comments and you'll have an answer.
Nice.
All right, so
Enter.
let's keep
Start
going. We made it for
time.
12:30. We'll keep tabbing.
End time edit combo collapse. 1 p.m.
We can treat the end time the same way. It's gone 30 minutes ahead. We'll just leave it there. We'll keep tabbing.
End date edit combo collapsed read only. 03/16/2000.
Most of the time, it's always gonna show the same date for end date. It's very rare that you're gonna change that. How many times are you doing a Zoom meeting that's going across multiple days?
I think I've ever done that.
Me neither.
No, we
But
could
you
solve-
can change it here if you want it to be a 3-day Zoom party.
Personal-
You just never know. We'll keep going.
Start meeting my personal meeting ID PM. My personal
just
meeting
happened
ID.
then.
Yeah, I just lost
my
mine.
personal
Just
meeting
lost
ID.
window.
Let's come back.
Schedule meeting. Schedule
There it
meeting.
is.
Topic
Lost
Corey
focus.
Ballard Zoom meeting.
All right, let's go back down,
End time
'cause now we
edit.
lost
End
where
date
we
edit
were.
combo collapse. Time zone. Central time US and
All right,
US
here's
button
our time
collapse.
zone. We're just gonna leave it to our default central.
Recurring meeting checkbox not checked.
We could do it recurring if we choose to, and then checking this would open up some reoccurrence options, but we're not gonna have that today.
Attendees.
We're going to leave our
Attendees edit
attendees
combo
because we
collapse.
could put in some email addresses here to invite people. I find it to just easier though to copy the invitation info and then send out an email through my email program of choice, because then it's just easier for me to type out some kind of little message if I want to. So we're going to leave this blank for now.
Enable continuous meeting chat. Added attendees will have access to the meeting group chat before and after the meeting. Toggle
You
button
may or may
pressed.
not see this. This is an option to turn on the chat feature before and after the video, after the meeting. So you can choose if you want that feature on or off.
More information about continuous meeting chat. Button
This obviously would tell us more about what that continuous chat is.
Generate automatically radio button chat. One of
So
two.
now this one here, it didn't tell us what this was, but there's basically two options here. This is what do we want the meeting ID to be? Do we want it to generate automatically? Or if I down arrow, I can choose my personal ID. Your personal ID doesn't change, but generating automatically is more secure because then it's always random. Sometimes though, if you're creating a Zoom meeting that maybe you're doing with a loved one, where you want to make it very simple for them, where you don't want to have to, let's say you're doing it maybe once, every week you're meeting with somebody, and you don't want to create a new meeting invite each and every time, where you don't want to do a reoccurrence, you could choose your personal ID, then it never changes. So then whatever info you send them, that's the one they're always going to use.
Just don't be sharing those links out on the internet or anything like that.
Exactly. Although there are, even if you do, there are some other security options that are built in that we'll show here in just a moment. So.
Passcode edit 329775.
And here's your passcode. So you're going to let that passcode be. It's going to generate one automatically. Leave it be. Don't change it to something super easy.
Passcode learn more button collapse.
We'll keep going.
Waiting room. Only users admitted by the host can join the meeting checkbox.
This is also important. This is the waiting room. Now, a lot of times people you might be tempted to turn waiting room off because it is a little bit more work for the host. But I do highly recommend keeping this waiting room feature on, because when people join your meeting, they are not coming right into the meeting. Instead, they come into a waiting room and you can decide, who you admit.
Although the only information that you get is the person's name, and that's easily
correct.
faked, so.
It could be, but they would have to know that you're both doing a meeting and that you were expecting this person's name.
True.
You know what I mean? So, but you're right. It is not foolproof, but I do recommend doing the waiting room. And we'll actually show you how to let people in the waiting room in just a moment, too, when we after we create this. So we're going to leave that meeting room turned on.
Only authenticated users can join. Sign into Zoom checkbox, not checked.
What this one is saying that only people who actually have a Zoom account and are signed into Zoom would be able to join your meeting. Again, this one I do turn off only because I find that to be a little too prohibitive then, and so we leave this off.
On radio button check. One of two.
Now it's asking us here some options of video for host. It didn't say it. Now, if I wasn't tabbing, but instead using my arrow keys to move through this website, I would have learned that this was host video. But you have when the host joins, do you want your video on or off? So you can choose that.
On radio button check. One of two.
And then
telephone and computer audio radio button check.
We also
Three of
have
three.
what the audio options are that you're allowing people. Now, I might have skipped over the participant.
You did,
yeah. Sorry, there was I skipped over the participant. There's two on-off buttons in a row. The first one is host. The second one is participant. So when participants join your meeting, do you want their audio? Do you want their video on or off by default? This one here is what audio options are you allowing? Computer, telephone, or both? Defaults to both. Just leave it at both. There's no reason to change it.
Dial in from United States. Edit button.
And then this is a saying, with every Zoom meeting, there's a dial-in number, and it's saying United States. So if you're in a different country, it should default to your country, though.
Apparently, I am.
Other calendars, radio button check. Three of three.
And then we have an option here. This is very similar to that first time when we hit on the schedule meeting button. Right now it's on other, but if I would arrow, I could choose Google or Outlook. So in case you changed your mind at the last moment, you can still turn it into an Outlook meeting if you choose to, or a Google Calendar. I'm leaving it on Outlook though. I'm sorry, on other. I'm going to tab last time.
Advanced options button collapse.
Under advanced here, there's some more options about having alternative hosts and some other things. We're going to skip over them today because they're not really applicable to your regular Zoom meeting.
Select language interpretation. Audio channels checkbox not checked.
I'm going to skip over here.
Cancel button. Save.
And
Opens
save.
calendar
There's
in
our
window
save button. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. And now this pops up. It should
Your meeting
save
has been
this.
scheduled. Click the button below to copy the invitation.
And now it should be showing our invitation. And if I shift tab, if I remember correctly, I should get a button that says copy invitation link or details or I don't know, something to that extent. Let's see if we shift tab.
Copy to clipboard button.
There we go.
It is.
And that's going to go ahead and hit space on
The
that.
invitation has
And
been
now
copied
that
to clipboard.
copied all of my meeting information onto my clipboard. So now if I pop over to my Outlook window, which could you just switch off of my computer for a moment?
It
while
would
I
just
send
be a
this?
complete pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
Zoom.
There we go.
Zoom schedule
Look,
meeting.
we're back.
Copy
We
to
were
click
here
Windows
all
Outlook.
along.
Live Studio.
What I'm doing now.
Open book
and actually, everyone knows-
9.0.
everyone
Office
knows-
365 Outlook.
I just didn't want visuals. I didn't know what I had in my email.
Opening
So I'm going
Outlook.
to send Luke an email right now.
Corey is always getting contentious emails.
I am. How dare you keep doing
Inbox
tech
Ballard at
live.
visionforward.org Outlook. Jonathan.
All right, so we're going to send a new email here.
Control N. Untitled message HTML to edit.
And we're going to send it to Mr.
LS.
Luke.
Enter. CC edit.
tab
BCC
for
edit. Subject edit.
Zoom info.
Zoom info message
And we'll just
HTML.
paste it in here.
You didn't even type a personal
Corey
message.
Ballard is inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. Blank.
There you go. So you can just verify it's in there. Now I'll send it.
Alt S. Inbox Ballard at visionforward.org
All right,
Outlook.
so that's over. And we
Alt
can switch back.
F4. One reminder as dialog.
Right.
Zoom schedule meeting. Copy to
All
clipboard
right,
button.
so now what we need to do, though, is actually start this meeting. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go back to our
Escape.
Zoom
Desktop.
window
Default view.
here.
Zoom.
And I'm still in that Meetings tab, and I'm going to tab through, and we should be able to find that a list that shows us all of our meetings that are scheduled, and we should be able to find that one that we did.
Quick
Search
question:
control
if you're
plus
in
F
those
button.
tabs at the top and you need to move to a different tab, what's the trick?
Well, you can either do a control tab, which always moves you through a multi-tab window, or you can tab until you hear whatever name it'll say, like meeting, tab, control, and then you can right and left arrow through the different tabs.
Okay.
So let's go find that list of our meetings.
Meetings 4 of 8 tab selected.
So there, right there, it said meetings, tab 4 of 8 selected. So now if I would right arrow,
Contacts 5 of 8 tab.
I could go over to my other one.
Meetings 4 of
But
8
we'll go
tab
back to
selected.
meetings.
Pair with a Zoom room or Zoom
Okay,
for
we're
home.
gonna
Open
tab
activity
and find our
center. New
list.
note. Zoom. Corey Ballard. Refresh button. Upcoming meetings tab selected.
There's our
Schedule meeting
upcoming-
button.
There's our schedule where we were before, but we'll go past that.
Meeting topic Corey Ballard Zoom meeting. Meeting time Saturday, March 16th, 12:30 p.m. 1 p.m. Host Corey
And
Ballard.
it's smart
Meeting
enough
ID.
because I just created that one. It actually is leaving me on it here in the list. So we're going to go ahead. I get in the habit of hitting enter on these.
VF/ID
because
check-in.
well, actually, did it just move it off of it? So maybe I shouldn't have.
9
Okay,
a.m.
this
10
is
a.m.
something I'm going to show in just a moment. A goofy part of Zoom that I haven't been able to figure out. Come on.
Meeting schedule upcoming meetings tab selected. Schedule meeting button. Meeting topic VF/ID.
Okay, so let's go and find
Meeting
our...
topic VF/
Took it
meeting
off of
topic
us,
NIP discussion with
whatever.
Vision Forward Association. Meeting topic VF/ID check-in. Meeting time Wednesday, March 27th, 9 a.m. 10 a.m. Meeting topic Corey Ballard Zoom meeting.
There it is.
Meeting time enter. Corey Ballard Zoom meeting.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tab until I get to the start button. But something I've found lately in an updated Zoom, you're going to get a bunch of, it's going to say a few things as we tab, and then it's going to go silent as we tab.
Oh, good.
And if you keep going, it'll finally kick back in, and so you'll get to the start button. But there's going to be a bunch of these blank spots, and I don't understand why. So here we go, tab.
12:30 p.m. 1 p.m.
So it tells us the time.
Corey Ballard in a calendar event button.
That would be you.
Host Corey Ballard.
We're still there.
Meeting ID 833. Start Corey Ballard Zoom meeting button.
Oh,
That
didn't
time
do
I
it
got
this
you
time.
right there.
Yeah, that's really weird. If it works, sometimes I guess it's going to work today. If you get some tabs though where you're not hearing anything, don't worry. Just keep hitting tab. Eventually, could be 6, 7 tabs. You're going to finally get it to kick back in and talk. So don't worry about it. We're going to go ahead and hit space on the start button, and we're going to go into our Zoom meeting.
You are connected to computer audio.
All right, so
You are in the meeting information button.
So now we are in our meeting. So Luke, I'll have you hold off, not just yet, to join, but we are in our Zoom meeting. Now this is what it's going to look like both for a host and a participant. It's very similar the way you're going to work through these. The only difference is that a host is going to have a little bit more information and some more options to play with, especially from a security standpoint. The way that we move around this is all tab. Everything is tab, spacebar to activate. Now, there is some hotkeys for some normal things you would do. Alt-A to mute your microphone, Alt-A to unmute, Alt-V to toggle the status of your video on or off, Alt-H to open up the chat window, which we'll show in a little bit, and Alt-U to open up the users or participant list, which we'll do in a little bit. You're a what?
Alt-me?
Alt-U. Alt-U. Otherwise, now you don't have to use those if you don't want to remember those, no big deal. Just simply tabbing through here is going to take us to each of our options, and it just does a big circle. So you keep tabbing, you're eventually just going to keep going around and get back to where you started from. I want to look at security really fast because I do think that's important, especially from a
security standpoint.
From a hosting standpoint. So let's go ahead and tab through this window here.
Pair with the Zoom Room or Zoom for Home device button.
So one message that we have had from the chat is that you're going through the voiceover stuff very, very quickly. Some people would like to hear what the computer's saying in some moments so that they can get familiar with it.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I know that it is intuitive after a time.
That's a great point, and I appreciate that feedback. I think we will definitely slow it down. I think partially it's time too.
Yeah.
I will say that the compromise we're going to do for time is that I may not let everything speak, especially if it's not applicable, but things that we're gonna actually activate on, I will absolutely let it some time to breathe and let it talk. Good feedback, thank you, I appreciate that. So we'll go ahead and tab.
View button. Mute. Currently unmuted. Alt+A
now,
button.
I guess I should get some feedback and let people, Luke, I'm curious your thoughts, and people put it in the chat. Do you want me to talk about should I give a quick summary what each and every button is real fast here?
Yes.
Just 5 seconds? Okay, let me go back. I'm gonna shift tab back to the view button then where we started.
View button.
Okay, view button. This allows you to change your view. All right, next. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, as somebody who's a screen reader user, it really doesn't matter. Basically, it allows you to change how you see video feeds of all the participants. Do you want it in a single view where you're just seeing what they call speaker view, so only the person talking is taking up most of your space? Or do you want it in a gallery view where you see like a grid pattern of all of the people connected to your Zoom meeting? To be completely honest, I've never changed my view because, again, from a screen reader standpoint, it does not matter. But from a low vision standpoint, I believe that speaker view is probably going to be your best, which is what it defaults to, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good.
Mute. Currently unmuted. Alt+A button.
So we tabbed and now we heard mute. We had actually heard a lot of really good things, and this is something I like about Zoom. First of all, it said mute. Currently unmuted. So it told us not only what this button is going to do, but told us what status we currently are, currently unmuted. And then at the end, we heard it say Alt-A. So it gave us the keyboard command if we wanted to use the keyboard command. Now, the nice thing about using that keyboard command, the Alt-A, is you don't actually have to be on the mute button within your Zoom meeting. You just need to be in your Zoom meeting window, though. You can't be minimized on your desktop or on a web page and expect to be able to do Alt-A. You need to be in the Zoom meeting still, but you don't have to be sitting on the mute button. If we go ahead and mute ourselves,
unmute my audio with Alt+A or press and hold the space key to temporarily unmute. Unmute. Currently muted. Alt+A. Unmute. Currently muted. Alt+A.
So we actually got a couple things there.
Press Alt+A to unmute your microphone or press and hold the space key to temporarily unmute.
And it knows we're muted. But basically, first of all, it said press Alt-A again to unmute yourself, or press and hold the spacebar control. Now I wasn't listening. I was half listening. Spacebar.
Yep.
And that will temporarily unmute yourself for you to talk, and then you can let go of that spacebar, and then you return back to a mute standpoint. Now, though, again, if now that we're muted, though, the status of this button is going to change. Now it says
Unmute. Currently muted. Alt plus A button. To activate, press space.
Now it says unmute, currently muted. So it does change and let you know what that status is. So it's
Corey,
great.
can we do a Windows up arrow just to maximize this window?
We can.
Why, thank
Windows
you,
up
good
arrow.
sir.
Windows
There we
up
go.
arrow.
All right, good. All right, let's keep tabbing.
Audio settings button Audio menu. settings button menu.
This button here is specific to choosing what microphone and speakers are going to be used in the Zoom meeting. Most of the time, this does not need to be changed because it'll just be using your default microphone and speakers. But you can use your space bar to pop up a menu that you can up and down arrow through. The first options are the microphone that'll be used. Hit enter on the microphone you want. Or you can continue down arrowing and you'll get to the speakers section and you can hit enter on what speakers you want used in your Zoom meeting. This can be nice if you have multiple microphones or multiple speakers. Speakers as in not someone talking.
Stop my video. Alt plus V button. Alt plus V button.
Here we have a button that says Stop My Video. So again, it's telling us what the button's going to do when we use the space bar to activate it. And we also hear Alt-V, so we get that keyboard command. That is going to turn on and turn off our video. We can also use that as a way to know if what is the status of our video as well. So you can always come and check this just to make sure your video's on or off. I typically check it multiple times. That and mute when I'm on a meeting because I'm always afraid.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to keep tabbing.
Video settings. Button menu. Button menu.
Just like in the audio, this video settings button, hitting space, will activate a vertical menu. We can use our up and down arrow to choose what camera we want to use in our Zoom meeting. This is beneficial if you have a laptop and a webcam plugged into it. You can make sure you're using your webcam instead of using the built-in laptop camera.
Security button menu. Security button menu.
Here's our security menu. We should pop in here because this is where we are starting out. So we've landed on our security menu. We also heard there was no keyboard shortcut, so we'll hit our space bar to activate the menu.
Space. Context menu. Lock meeting. Unchecked. Unchecked.
The first option we have here is lock meeting. What this is going to do is if you hit enter on this, it'll no longer allow individuals to join your meeting. Not a bad idea to do with security. Once you have everyone in the meeting that you know should be there, locking the meeting is not a bad idea because it does ensure that nobody gets in when they shouldn't. And that's it in here. Or let's put this, I've had this issue now. I've had this issue with Zoom lately, and I'm wondering if anyone else who does hosting, I'm now up and down arrowing right now, and it's not reading anything. That either means that lock is the only option,
Seems unlikely.
or it's not reading for whatever reason. Is there more options?
There are many more.
Yeah. All right, let me try tapping my escape key.
Escape.
And just see if we can get it to redo it again.
Alt space. System menu.
make sure
Restore.
I'm
Audio now muted.
Maximize, I
Leaving.
was.
Close.
So let's
Open
go
participants
off
panel.
with
Security
some
button
back
menu.
on.
Security button menu.
Space.
Space. Context menu.
Context
Lock
menu.
meeting. Unchecked. Unchecked.
No.
Hello?
No. Okay, let me try something.
You are mute. Close. Open participants panel. One participant. Security button menu. Security button menu.
So I'm really curious. I had this issue in our, we had a staff meeting yesterday, and I had the same issue, which is going to be a problem because it's also going to affect us when we go and look at the participant list.
Oh.
Because I can't do that pop-up either. I'm curious what that issue is,
Space.
and I can't fix
Space.
it. So that's a real big bummer.
Escape. Escape.
Why don't you,
Escape.
Luke, why don't you
Escape.
tell us what else is
Security
in
button
here
menu.
then
Security button
for
menu.
right now? So we had lock was our first one. What else do we have
Okay,
in
so
here?
second we have enable waiting room, which is currently checked, and so whenever anybody joins the meeting, then the host gets to decide whether to let them in or not. Next we have hide profile pictures, just in case anybody has an inappropriate profile picture, you can choose to hide those. After this we have allow all participants to : Number 1, share screen. Do you want participants to be able to share their screens? By default, we have that turned off, which I think is a good idea.
Yes.
Next, chat. Do you want to allow participants to chat? You can check out and check that. Do you want to allow participants to rename themselves after they have already entered the meeting? Unmute themselves, and we probably don't want generally people to, well, I guess it depends on the type of meeting you're doing, but you can choose whether to allow people to unmute. Now, if people do not have the option to unmute themselves, you as the host can still allow them to talk. So you can give specific people permission to talk. So it doesn't mean that everybody has to be quiet all the time.
Yeah.
Do you want to allow participants to start video? Do you want them to be able to share notes? Do you want them to be able to collaborate with Zoom apps? I've never done anything collaboration with
I
Zoom
haven't
apps.
either. I know they have like a whiteboard and all that kind of
never
stuff.
done any
I've
of
not
that
used
stuff,
them.
Do you want them to set meeting timers? Oh, I didn't even know that was a feature. That's kind of nifty. Okay. Do you want them to start recording local files? Whatever that may mean.
So that means are you allowing participants the ability to record the meeting, or do you disable that so that only you the host, can record it? Yep.
And then finally, do you want to allow participants to request recording permission? I said finally, but there is one more, and it's in its own special area. Not only that, but it's also in red, so it's obviously important.
Ooh, very important.
What do you think that one might be, Corey?
Do you want to allow participants to tell jokes?
Well, that is just expected, so that wouldn't be in red. No, the final option, the most important one according to the visual here, is suspend participant activities.
Oh, so you can just suspend them all momentarily.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
Well,
Okay.
no, I think for as long as you, I guess, as long as you have that selected. So
Gotcha.
I think the idea is if you are having Zoom bombing issues, which we have been victim to in the past, then maybe you can kind of stop everybody from doing anything.
Yeah, it's a one click versus checking each of those, going back in, check, click, 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 you just boom, hit them all at once.
Yeah.
Now, simply using your down arrow and hitting space to select or deselect any of these is how you'd work with them. Again, from a JAWS perspective, for whatever reason, I get bit with this bug where it's not reading it. So it does work with NVDA. I'm currently using 2023 for JAWS for a reason. One of our work applications requires it. So maybe it's been fixed in 2024. I should have potentially.
I will say I have worked with a client fairly extensively with Zoom, and he's run in 2024, and we haven't had this issue.
Okay.
So hopefully maybe it's been fixed.
Good. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Luke. I appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and just hit escape to get out of this menu.
Escape.
And then we'll continue tabbing through our Zoom menu and our Zoom window here and see what else we have.
Excuse me,
Close
Corey.
Yes.
Open Participants panel.
So
Open
we had a
Participants panel.
question. Someone's wanting to know how they can manage their JAWS speech so that it doesn't distract participants in the meeting.
That is a
they're
great
hosting.
question.
Well, it won't. If the best advice that I can give you is to always wear a headset.
Right.
Or at least speakers, or at least headphones.
Where's some speakers?
Yeah, there's some speakers on your head, like earmuffs. You really shouldn't be doing a Zoom meeting with just standard computer, laptop microphone and laptop speakers.
Right, because you're going to run into these problems.
Exactly. So if you start wearing a headset, then your JAWS is going to come through the headset and the mic won't pick it up, so you'll be fine. Or if you're at least wearing headphones, even if you're using the built-in microphone of your laptop, but if you're wearing headphones, then JAWS is going to come through that. That's the only way to really do it outside of muting your speech, which you can do with the JAWS layer command insert spacebar or caps lock spacebar, followed by the S key for speech. That'll turn it between speech on demand and speech continuous speech. The problem, though, then is if you turn that off, then you can't tab through your Zoom window or anything like that. So.
Also, you could potentially, if you wanted to, if you're wearing a headset, you could have the JAWS audio routed through the headset, but still have the Zoom audio routed through the laptop speakers or the computer speakers.
You could do that.
If you wanted to set it up like that. So.
Yep. And if you've tried in the latest JAWS, when you start a team or a Zoom meeting, it will give us they have that new audio splitting mode too, where in the headset it puts JAWS in the left ear and Zoom in the right ear, or vice versa. You can choose which way you want.
I can see why that would be useful.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, one more
Yeah,
thing
please.
before I let you jump back in. just a follow-up to a previous live show. You know how we did a live show on accessible video games?
Yes.
So there's been a follow-up on that. The visually prepared gaming community is up and running.
Excellent.
Oh, good.
So I've linked it into the chat with their YouTube channel. Looks like they are doing primarily World of Warcraft style things.
And why not?
Well, yeah, it's been quite a large part of a lot of people's lives, and it's been active for over 20 years.
Wow.
I believe that you're a fan yourself, Jonathan.
No, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's the end of that then.
That's fine. Anyway,
Jonathan's like, no, I hate it. Thank you.
I believe that was one of your favorite. No.
sorry, I tried to like it. But
I tried. That's good
Visually
feedback. Thank you.
Prepared Gaming.
Okay,
Visually Prepared Gaming is the YouTube channel to look for.
Corey, time check. We have, it's 11:43.
Yeah, I should have known. Okay. So let's look at really quick. I think the participants is very important in the waiting room. So why don't you go ahead?
Finally, my time to shine.
Security
here.
button menu. Security button
And
menu.
then we're going to work on, we're going to show how, we're going to get alerted here that Luke's coming into the waiting room, and
Like
then
a
I'm going to
warning,
show
you
you.
mean? Is that what you're saying? You're going to get warned that I'm coming in?
Not to let you in.
Oh, that's not nice.
You're going to probably come right into the meeting. It's not going to put you in the waiting room.
Probably
See
not.
what happens.
No, I might be a co-host already. That's the thing. Who knows what I'm
Luke
joining
Scriven
as.
put in
Oh,
waiting
no.
room. Scriven put in waiting room. Luke Scriven put in
So we
waiting
heard
room.
Luke-
Put in waiting room. Luke Scriven has entered the waiting room for this
Oh, I
meeting.
got it.
Press F6 to view pop-up or press Alt plus U to open participants panel.
So a couple things here. We can do
Luke
F6,
Scriven
which is
put in waiting room.
common
Scriven
in
put in waiting
Zoom.
room.
And this is going to allow us to access this little pop-up message that's come up. Now, I'm not going to show that right now because it's as simple as hitting F6 and then just tabbing through the little pop-up, and it might be admit. But I want to actually go into the user's participants flyout, as they call it,
Nice.
because that I can allow more than one person in at a time if I choose to.
Okay.
So we can go ahead and tab to the participants window. So if I tab.
Closed. Open participants panel. Two participants. One people are waiting. Alt plus U button. Alt plus U button.
So we heard a closed, open participants window. So the participants window and the chat window open up as their own separate window in Zoom, kind of away from the Zoom meeting window. To a certain extent, you can actually, if you continue tabbing, you'll actually tab back through all of the other Zoom meeting controls. But all of the user stuff is only visible when we open or expand this. We can do it by hitting space on the button itself here, or we also heard Alt-U is the keyboard command to go ahead and open up that user or participant window. So I'm going to go ahead and do an Alt-U.
Alt-U. Expanded. Leaving menus. Participants 1. Participants 1.
And so now we have opened up the participants' information here. And this is key for a couple of things. Number one, it allows us to see who is in the meeting. So even if you're not the host, you can still access this and get a look at who's in the meeting. Unless it's a webinar, then they don't list it out. But if it's a regular Zoom meeting, you can see who's in the meeting. We can also, if we're the host, we can then let people in from the waiting room. And we can also control people in the meeting, mute them, kick them out, things like that. So we're going to go ahead and...
Waiting room 1. Expanded.
What we're put in when we first do that Alt-U is the participants list. If you are not the host, then you're just going to see all the participants, and you can up and down arrow through the list. The way that Zoom does it is whoever's currently talking gets moved up to the top of the list. So you can always do a home key and kind of see who's up there talking. Once they stop talking, then they get moved back down the list, and so it kind of shuffles a little bit. But if you're a host, at the very top, if there's somebody in the waiting room, we're going to see that we have a waiting room heading. So if I go back up to the top here.
Home. Waiting room 1. Expanded.
I hear waiting room 1 expanded. So that tells me that my list is expanded and that there's currently one person. If I go ahead, I might not show up because there's only one person currently waiting. If I would tab from here,
Message button.
I could message people in the waiting room. Hey, all, hold on, we're letting you in just a minute, so I can do some kind of chat if I wanted to. If I tab again,
Invite Alt plus I button.
I can invite somebody to the meeting, and I think the button I want's not here. Let me tab one more time.
Mute Alt plus M button.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back here.
Invite Alt plus I
What was
button.
the
Message
button you
button.
used to
I'm just going to come back.
Participants list.
If there is more than one person in the waiting room,
You can admit all.
yes, there's an admit all button. Now that's only visible though when you're up at the top of this waiting room heading here. So if there's more than one person, as you tab, you will get a admit all, which is kind of nice. Otherwise, we're not getting it now though because it's just you waiting. But I can down arrow and see who's in my waiting room. So if I come down,
They should use Zoom in the courtroom.
they do.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying because you've got a really handy admit all button.
I'm going to keep coming down.
Thank you for ignoring that.
Here we go.
Luke Scriven. Press space to admit.
I think what I wanted was, yeah, that was what I wanted. Okay, let's go
Waiting
back here.
room 1.
All right, so let's down arrow again and see who's in our waiting room.
Luke Scriven. Press space to admit.
So we get Luke's name here, and it tells us that we can hit our space bar to go ahead and admit Luke. I'm going to, well, actually, I'll go ahead and admit you. So I'll hit my space bar.
Thank you. Finally, I get my time to shine.
You were in the waiting room. So now it's going to give a moment
Luke
for
Scriven
Luke
has
to
left the
join.
waiting room for this meeting.
There you go. So it tells us that he left.
Luke Scriven has joined the meeting.
And make sure you mute and
Already done.
good. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my home key again and just go back to the top of this list.
Home. Corey Ballard. Host. Computer audio muted. Video on.
So here we don't have waiting room. Now you get me at the top. So it said not only that it was me, it said I was the host, and it also gave my video and audio status, which is nice. I'll down arrow to find Luke.
Luke Scriven. Computer audio muted. Video on.
And then we get Luke's status as well. So I can mute him. I'm sorry. It tells me that his computer is muted and his video is on. Now, if I wanted to perform an action as a host upon Luke, I would first arrow to him.
Sounds somewhat biblical.
I know, it did. First, I will arrow to that participant in the participant list, which I just did. And now we'll go ahead and tab.
Ask to unmute button.
I can ask to unmute. This is important to know as a host. You can mute somebody. You can turn someone's video off, but you cannot unmute or turn someone's video on without them giving permission. I can request it, which would then send Luke a little pop-up, but I cannot force it to happen as a host. And that makes sense. I'm going to keep tabbing.
More options for Luke Scriven button drop down.
And here's something important. More options for Luke. I'm going to hit my space bar.
Space. Context menu. Chat.
I can send a chat directly to Luke from here if I want to. And my down arrow doesn't want to work again.
All right, so we also have stop video, so you could turn off my video. We have pin, which would mean that I would become the premiere image that would be put into people's eyeballs. We can do, allow me to move the mouse pointer here.
Pin. Make host.
Make host. So far, he could make me the hostess with the mostest. He could make me a co-host, so Corey would still be in charge, but I would have more power than I currently do.
Yes.
He could rename me. Give me a whole new name. What would you rename me, Corey, if you had to rename me?
Luke.
Okay.
L-O-K-R.
Okay, that's weird, but sure.
Yeah.
You could allow me, Corey could allow me to record local files. He could allow me to multi-pin. Any ideas?
Yeah, that's if we wanted to pin 2 or 3 people up on the screen to always be visible instead of just one. Yep.
He could put me back into the waiting room, which I'm sure he would love to do. He could remove me altogether, and he could report me to the authorities, or at least to Zoom.
Just like in the security menu, simply use your arrow keys up and down to move through the list, and then hit enter on any of those options to perform the action. And again, then you would move back to your list of participants, down arrow to the next person, tab over and do the options for that person, whatever you might want to do.
Got it.
Mute, I find that probably one of the biggest ones is mute sometimes. You got to mute somebody. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape to get out of here.
Escape.
And there's one other thing I just wanted to keep to look at here in participants. If we tab past the Luke Scriven options button, if we go one more,
Invite Alt plus I button.
well, let's see where it is.
Mute Alt plus M button.
Here's an option. I'm keep tabbing. Here is mute all. So if I wanted to just quickly mute everybody, I could go ahead and do that.
And there's an Alt-M shortcut.
Yep. If I tab again.
More options to manage all participants button drop down.
Here's a drop down that is specific
Space.
to all participants. So this would allow me to control some things such as when a participant comes in, make sure they're muted. You could probably read some other options in there, but.
Ask all to unmute, mute participants upon. You know what? I'm not going to read it because we're running out of time here.
Got it.
So I'd like if we can just to have a quick overview of how to message people.
Okay,
'cause I feel like
perfect.
that's something important.
All right, so that is how you can manage participants and allow people from the waiting room.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and hit my escape key. And I'm going to hit Alt-U again to close that user flyout.
Alt-U. Collapse. Leaving
And
menu.
now I'm going to use our chat window. Now I hadn't tabbed yet to chat, and I don't need to. I can do the Alt-H, and that is going to go ahead and open chat up as well. So if I go ahead and do an Alt-H.
Alt-H. Expanded. Input chat text message Corey Ballard Zoom meeting edit. Blank.
I'm automatically put in the edit box now for me to type a message to the participants in the Zoom meeting.
By default, it's important to clarify that.
Yes.
By default, your message will go to everybody.
Correct.
Yes.
We do have we can change this so that you are chatting with just a specific person if it's allowed. But yes, by default, it's going to go to everybody. We know that because we heard it say input text message, so we know we're in there. So I'm just going to say hello to Luke. Hello.
Hello. Space.
How are you?
You. Question.
And you hit enter to go ahead and send it.
Enter. Send.
Excellent. So
Now it popped up
my
on Luke.
end, I have a visual by my chat that popped up, the message popped up, and I get a little indicator to say I have a message also. So now I will reply. Okay, and there
From
we go.
Luke Scriven to everyone. I'm having the worst day of my life.
Wow. So we heard it was from Luke and he sent it to everybody. So that's kind of nice. And then it told us what the message was. Now, you do not need to be in the chat window. We didn't have to do that Alt-H in order for us to have heard that chat. Chats will always be read out loud to you automatically, no matter if you're in or out of that chat flyout. But from within this chat flyout, we can go back and look at previous chat history. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe it is a Shift tab from the input window to sending a new message.
Blank.
So I'm going to go ahead and do my Shift tab.
2. Meeting group chat button drop down.
This thing is interesting here. I would like to discuss this.
That's the change the to from?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, well, yeah, we can talk. Okay. So give me 1 minute. We'll finish up what we're doing. I'm going to keep Shift tabbing.
Who can see your messages? Button.
So this can allow who can see my messages. I'm going to keep Shift tabbing.
Chat text list box.
Now we should be in the history, kind of the conversation, the chat that's going on. At the bottom of the list, it typically gives you the most recent. I'm going to try my down arrow.
Messages addressed to meeting group chat will also appear in the meeting group chat and team chat. You? Hello. How are you? 11:54 a.m.
So there's the one I sent. If I down arrow again.
Luke Scriven. I'm having the worst day of my life. 11:55 a.m.
And if I go down again, nothing, because that was the end of the list. So simply arrowing through, they'll then give us a list of all of the different history of the chat.
Very nice.
Now, let's tab back over because there was something important here.
Luke Scriven button. Luke Scriven button.
Oh, now it's doing.
I have a button.
I'm having the worst day of my life. Reply
Going through your
button. Add reaction button.
So there are some little
little options that have popped up here. There's a reply.
More button.
Add reaction.
We're going to keep going, yeah.
Who can see your messages?
Here we go. One more.
2. Meeting group chat button drop down.
So here's a drop down. It said 2. Now, if you remember correctly, this is to the left of that input where we typed in our message. So a Shift tab from that point takes us to the 2 box here. And by default, it is set to go to meeting chat, so that's to everybody. But if I hit my space bar, I should be able to change who sees it.
Space. Corey Ballard Zoom meeting. List box. Meeting
Now,
group
the
chat.
problem is,
Chat.
maybe I'm going to get it.
Come on.
Luke Scriven. Unchecked.
Hey.
Yep. So now I'm simply using my down arrow key, and I can choose the first option we heard.
Meeting group chat. Checked.
Is the meeting group chat. That's to everybody. Or if I come down,
Luke Scriven. Unchecked.
it is just to Luke. Now, I can't come down again because there's only you in this meeting, but I could keep arrowing through to go through all of the participants. If I hit enter on Luke,
Enter. Zoom meeting. Input chat text message Corey Ballard Zoom meeting edit. Blank.
it took me back to the box to input my chat.
Indeed.
But let's verify that it actually changed it from meeting to you. So I'll shift tab again.
2. Luke Scriven direct message button drop down.
And now you hear it says to Luke Scriven direct message.
And I will say as well, something that catches me out sometimes is it will remember that. So even if you close the chat window, when you reopen it and send a message, it would still only be going to me unless you go back and change it to, you know, whatever, like all of the group or whatever.
So if you kind of mix between the whole group and just a participant.
Yes.
I'm going to do my Alt-H and close this flyout window, and I think we have one last
Alt-H.
Well, it's 11.
We need to
Chat
end,
panel now
we're going to
closed.
end the meeting.
We need to end it.
That was the one last thing.
That's perfect. All right.
You've now hosted your meeting. It's time to end the meeting, and this is true for both hosts and participants. You can go ahead and tab to the, I forget what they call it. It might be, say, quit or end, but you can use the keyboard command Alt-Q for quit, and that's going to pop up a menu.
Alt-Q. End meeting for all button.
As the host, I get an option here that says end meeting for all, so that obviously is going to shut the whole meeting down. Or if I tab,
Leave meeting button.
I can leave the meeting and leave it open for the people who are still inside that meeting.
Give feedback checkbox, not checkbox.
There's a little tab here. It says give feedback. I always leave that unchecked because I don't want to give
yes.
feedback every time I end one. Tab again.
Cancel button.
There's a cancel.
End meeting for all button.
And as we tab, we come back to end meeting again. I'll go ahead and hit my space bar.
Alt space.
Or I hit the wrong key. That works
Space.
too.
Zoom meeting.
And
Pick
that
up where
went
you left
ahead
off.
and ended that meeting.
You did it.
We did it. Now, we obviously didn't cover everything.
No.
And I apologize that we had a little bug of not reading menus. But hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable now scheduling a Zoom meeting and hosting one. Now, I'm bummed because we didn't get to screen share. But throw it in the comments. If you'd like us to expand a little bit more on Zoom and dive a little deeper into maybe the chat or the screen sharing piece, or dive a little bit more into user management, we can do a future Tech Connect Live where we maybe just pick one of those and dive a little deeper into it, instead of trying to get everything in 1 hour.
All right. You heard it here first. Deep dive time. But only if the public demands.
Oh, yes.
Lightning expectations. CSUN. What's our next live show?
Okay, CSUN. So, next week, Corey and I are going to CSUN.
Yeah.
It's a conference. It's in California.
It is the California State University of Northridge.
Indeed it is, and hopefully the weather will be nice. And they have some cool things at CSUN. They have a floor where they have...
Most places have floors.
Well, this is a special
The
floor.
expo floor.
There you go.
On the floor are many assistive technology manufacturers, and they will be showing their latest wares. Corey and I are going to be live streaming from the floor.
HIMS has a new product I received. We don't know.
Secrets.
I don't know what it is.
Well, we're going to go find out.
Their email's not saying it.
Okay,
so that's what I'm saying. Join. Make sure you watch.
I know. I got an email from Low Vision International. They have something I haven't heard of before. So anyway, we'll be live streaming. We will put up in advance if we are going to live stream. So keep your eyes and ears peeled to the tubes, and we will get that stuff up there. And then we're going to live stream and hopefully get away with it. Because I'm not sure 100% when we're supposed to be doing that. But
we'll probably for sure do something. I'm guessing if we can't do something on the floor, for sure every Tuesday and Wednesday night we'll do something from either our room or down in the lobby or the bar, like a little wrap-up thing too.
You're going to do a rap?
A rap, yeah, we'll have a rap.
Okay. Rap battle?
We'll riggedy wrap it.
Okay, so tune in Tuesday night for a rap battle.
Do you know what my rap? You know what my rap name is?
I'd love to know.
C. I'm Corey, C, and I know C. I can't see, C. No, yeah.
Well, actually, I believe that I've seen that elsewhere, but we can talk about that.
Right here. That's my personal email. That's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. All right. So rapper C will be giving his best lines. But anyway, the main thing is just keep tuned to the channel because we will have some cool content. We're also going to be recording some content from CSUN to make produced videos with. So check out those. On Monday we have a new produced video coming out, all about 7 top tips for making 7 top tips for making Outlook more visually accessible. possible. So this is more on the visual side, not so much on the screen reader side.
Yeah, low vision.
Yeah, low vision. So go ahead and check that video out. It's just me flying solo. Corey was MIA for that one. So.
Yes, and we're sponsored by someone too. We won't say what it was.
Well, we may or may not be sponsored. You'll have to watch the video to find out.
Throw down in the chat if there is any specific companies or products that you want us to take a look at and shoot a video on.
I thought you were going to
CSUN.
say you want us to be sponsored by.
Oh, no. No, I was just circling back to CSUN really quick. Please put it down in the comments as what products or companies you want us to interview.
Yes.
Well, we won't interview a product, but you know.
Yeah, we could. We might not get a lot of feedback from it. But
Why aren't you talking to me?
I mean, if it's
AI.
Well, that's a good
Ooh,
point. It might be an
okay.
AI product, maybe a product with text to speech. Maybe
we can
it'll do a
program,
good interview for us. Yeah. Anyway, we have a YouTube channel. You're on it, so watch videos on that. That would be good.
you.
Subscribe, like, and stuff. And with that being said, we will hope to see you next week live for our CSUN extravaganza.
Otherwise, in 2 weeks.
Indeed, for something that's not CSUN.
CSUN wrap up.
Yeah, probably. All right, everybody. Goodbye and fare you well.
Thanks for joining us for another Tech Connect Live. If you enjoyed Corey and Luke's antics, be sure to join us next time. For all things Tech Connect, go to vision-forward.org/techconnect.
Yeah.